Hi, I'm Spicy Steve.
And I'm Tasty Trish.
And we have a tasty dish for you from Singapore, Malaysia called Mee Goreng, Indian style. Now this is a dish that's very common down in this part of the world, and it comes from the Indian influence. Mee Goreng means fried noodles, but in Singapore and Malaysia you get a variety. Come on Trish, we're going to put a little garlic in. Sure. We're cooking away our shallots already. So lots of garlic.
Why not, eh?
So let's get this cooking. And this particular version is influenced by the South Indians and Sri Lankans that settled in Malaysia and Singapore. So we've got shallots and we've got garlic, and now we have some ground beef, or they might use mutton, right Trish?
That's right. We marinate it with some curry powder.
That's right. And boy, whoa, the heat's coming off up here. And we want to get that meat broken down and chopped up. Now we're going to put in a little bit different from the menu, or should I say the recipe, on our website. We're going to throw in our potatoes early. So there's some cubed potatoes. And of course, again, the potato came from North America and was brought over and is used in a lot of Indian cooking, and the Indians brought this down to Southeast Asia. So this is one of the distinct features in a Mee Goreng Indian style is the cubed potatoes. I like to put them in earlier in the dish just to get them browned a little bit. Okay, and from here we're putting some chili flakes. Not a lot of chili flakes, just enough to give it a little bit of a bite. This can be a hot dish if you want, but it should be more of a zesty dish. Whoa, there go the chili flakes. It's always dark soy sauce, about a tablespoon. It's the chili seeds that have the real bite in it, and that's what goes flying up, is the fumes from the chili when you're actually cooking this. And of course the fumes like to follow me around. We got some light soy, dark soy. Now here's something we're throwing in that's a little different. Unique to this dish is ketchup. Tomato paste or ketchup. Yes, they do have ketchup in Southeast Asia. In fact, they have their own popular brands of chili ketchup and regular ketchup in Thailand and in Singapore and Malaysia. Others condiments added to them as well, so don't think we're the only place in the world that has it. Now we're going to throw some puffed tofu. Puffed tofu gives a little bit of a texture to the dish, and again, if you're a vegetarian, you could leave the meat out and you could go straight for tofu. Not soft tofu, but the puffed tofu, or you could also use pressed tofu. You don't want anything that's going to get too mushy. Now we're going to throw a little bit of one beaten egg in here because we're making a portion for one large portion for one person. Now let that cook around a little bit. Don't put all the noodles in just yet because you want the egg to harden. You see what's happening here? We don't want it to get all too wet and sloppy. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to turn the heat down a bit because I have a smaller wok today for a smaller portion there. Egg is cooked. Let's throw in the noodles. Now alternatively, you could also throw your noodles in, and then once you've mixed the ingredients together, add your egg closer to the end. And if you did that, you'd basically make a spot, crack an egg, fold over the noodles, and let the egg set before you mix it in. You don't want it to be all wet in your noodles, you want it to be chunky. So here we go. These are nice fresh egg noodles. Now, this point, just want to make sure if you're using high heat that you get the noodles a bit singed by the wok. If you're cooking inside where your heat just isn't high enough, you may want to put your noodles in first in some hot oil, right Trish?
Yeah.
That's what you normally do if you're using a kitchen stove, and put them on the oil, sort of singe them a little bit, take them out, and then cook your other ingredients in batches, because on a normal kitchen stove, this would get a bit wet and it wouldn't get enough high heat. That's the real trick. What else, Trish, would you basically say is important with a Mee Goreng?
Well, basically high heat, the kiss of the wok is so important because you want the flavor that comes with that taste, you see, and it makes the dish a lot more flavorful.
Here we go. Okay, so now we add our final ingredients, which is some tomato, freshly chopped up. Give that a little bit of a mix in. And what next, Trish? We got some chives.
Yeah,
These are Chinese chives. They are rather smelly when you cut them up. So if you're wondering what's died in the kitchen, it's usually the chives. But you know what? They have a wonderful flavor. The smell does not come out at all in the dish once they're cooked. And these chives, there's flowery chives, Chinese chives. There's a lot of different varieties, actually, that you can find. But the basic Chinese chives with the heads on, you can leave a little flowered head on. They have a nice crisp texture, so that's why we add it to the dish. If you don't have those, you could put in green onions, but it wouldn't be quite the same.
No, I prefer chives myself.
Because Asian food is all about a balance of flavors and a balance of textures. So what you have here is a soft noodle, and you have a crispy chive, and that's what you're looking for. If you had, stuff that was all soft, it wouldn't have the same balance, the yin and yang of flavors and textures. Now, we're pretty much finished. We're going to add a little bit of bean sprouts, just to thin this out a little bit, or with another ingredient. And we're going to put a little bit of lime juice into this. That has just a little bit of a tangy zing to the dish, along with that ketchup we put in earlier. Some, you'll find different versions in Singapore and Malaysia. Some you'll find wetter than this with more ketchup or tomato paste, and others a little more on the drier side, and also it depends on the meat. I don't particularly like it with rather hard bits of mutton in it. I like my meat tender, so I like using the ground lamb or the ground beef in it. Now, last thing is a little bit of salt and pepper, just to finish that off. A little bit of salt, a touch of pepper, please. I'm going to put a little bit more. And again, freshly ground black pepper.
Another hit.
And you may want to taste it as well, just before you serve it. Now, add a little bit more salt or pepper if needed. Remember, the soy sauce is, the light soy is put in really for the saltiness, the dark soy for a bit of color. So you already do have some salt in there. And here you go. There we have a wonderful dish that you'll find served in Malaysia and Singapore by the street vendors or hawkers, the Indian mamakman, which is Singaporean Mi Goreng, Indian style. For Shaw TV, I'm Spicy Steve.
And I'm Tasty Trish.
Showing you the delights of Asian cooking.
For recipes and information on cooking classes, visit spicysteve.com.